Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christian Colley, and you join me for a pre-Christmas Casterbarus. I'm here on my own, I'm afraid. It'll be lonely this Christmas without you, James. James and I haven't been able to align schedules once again. Christmas, I've got 3 children. James has himself and his family. And it's very difficult to align schedules at this time of year. There's loads of stuff going on at home and with Christmas entertainment for children, etc. So that's pretty much where we are. I'm sort of like slotting this into a 30-minute opening that I have on Saturday morning. It's December the 20th today. And I thought it'd be nice to get together with you and go through a few of the things that have popped up over the past few weeks concerning Doctor Who and the war between the land and the sea, but also to tell you about the things that I'm planning to watch over Christmas. Now, I've actually already started my Christmas viewing, which I'm going to tell you about a little bit later as well. And it's kind of helped me get in the spirit of it. That's a very interesting thing. James and I talked about this last year. We were talking about the Radio Times and the Radio Times Christmas editions and the whole kind of where Christmas starts and these things that inspire us to become nostalgic and warm about Christmas, that certain things kickstart those emotions. I think the Radio Times, the Christmas Radio Times, is one of them. Also, certain TV shows do it. Whether they're new or not, they need to have a certain, a few years ago, it wasn't Christmas Day for me until Stickman had finished. And then all of a sudden, it was like, I was hit, by Stickman. So, as I say, I'm going to be looking at what I think is going to be good Christmas television over the next few weeks, a little bit later in today's show. But first, let's have a look at the war between the land and the sea. Have you been watching it? Now, this is the first thing. I understand that not many people are watching it. It was a 5-part series. We are about to have, as I record this, the final part is tomorrow, the finale is tomorrow. And as conceived, we believe it was intended for a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday schedule, much as Children of Earth, Torchwood Children of Earth was. There are thematic similarities between them. The tone is similar. There's the arrival of the 456 in a big tank, and the arrival of the Sea Devils in a tank. There's so many similarities between the two shows. As I say, I don't really know anyone who's watching it beyond myself and my wife and Mr. McLean and my dad. The first episode had reasonably strong overnight 2.82 million viewers. By the time of the second episode, that was 2.05 million viewers. Those are the overnights, so those were obviously subject to adjustment later on. The third and fourth episodes that aired last weekend saw a 2.45 million viewers watching the third episode, The Deep, while The Witch of the Waterfall, which followed it, had 1.7 million viewers, which offers us an average drop of around 370,000 viewers, according to the Radio Times. Now, those are the episodes in which Russell Tovey's character was heading underwater. I would like to hope that it adjusts well. I may not be completely on board with the latest era of Doctor Who, but the war between the land and the sea has been really good, and I'm disappointed. I think that other people aren't getting that enjoyment from it. I'll talk to James about this in the new year, probably, or after Christmas. We had planned to do this more regularly, discussion about the war between the land and the sea. But again, we had a scheduling problem with the time of year. And I don't know what James thinks about this. I think this is really a really good show. Tonally, I think this is where Doctor Who should have been for the past 2 years, or certainly as a baseline starting point over the past 2 years. So I really hope that Doctor Who's current perception hasn't damaged the war between the land and the sea. I suspect it probably has, though, and I suspect people have been turned off from it. But, time will tell on that. I'm really looking forward to speaking to James about this, by the way, because I think it'd be nice to have a good positive chat about something related to Doctor Who. But we'll see about that anyway. Obviously, the final episode airs on December the 21st. That's Sunday. I'm recording this on Saturday, so for me it's tomorrow. Yeah, so really looking forward to that. We're going to move on now to Blue Zoo, who have won the bid to make the animated Doctor Who series for CBeebies. Hopped onto the DoctorWhoCompanion.com for this. Blue Zoo has secured the contract to make a Doctor Who animation for CBeebies and BBC iPlayer. The BBC opened a pitching process for this in June, but we now know that BAFTA and Emmy award-winning Blue Zoo Animation Studios have won their bid to make the show. They've previously worked on The Adventures of Paddington, Number Blocks, which I remember from when my children were very small, The Smeds and the Smoos, Millie, and Pip and Posy. So it sounds like they're pretty much embedded on CBeebies anyway. Patricia Hidalgo is the director of BBC Children's and Education and says, "We can't wait to welcome the Doctor to CBeebies, introducing this beloved family favourite to our youngest audience for the very first time," which is nice. And Adam Shaw, who's the co-founder of Blue Zoo Animation, says, "This year we celebrated 25 years of Blue Zoo, so it's an extra special honour to be given the chance to bring up such a much-loved classic and a true British icon to a whole new generation of young viewers. Doctor Who means so much to so many people, and we don't take that lightly at all." The new series begins production in 2026 with 2 series of 26 11-minute episodes that are due to air between 2027 and 2029. But we don't yet know who the Doctor and companions will be. We have, of course, had considerable notable attempts in the past to turn Doctor Who into a cartoon. There is the famous Otter King animation on YouTube, which incidentally I was watching a few days ago with my youngest, and it seemed like it had been remastered. I'm not sure if that's the case, or whether there's something going on in YouTube that's upscaling things, but it seems more polished than it had been the last time I'd watched it. There is also the Doctor Who cartoon that entered early stage of production with Nelvana in the 90s, which was the feature of Warp Warp issue 5. But of course there have been actual Doctor Who cartoons as well. There is the Infinite Quest, and there was also, the Infinite Quest was really good. It had a nice animation style, didn't try to do anything clever, it just looked good and told a story. A little bit later, we had Dreamland, which was an okay story, but the CGI animation aims for a sort of a 3D, not 3D effect, but like, with 3D models, it didn't work for me. I found it very jarring. Looking back on it now, it feels very dated, whereas the Infinite Quest, which is 2 years older, looks fresh. Scream of the Shalka, of course, released in 2003. Various animations that have done for reconstructions of Doctor Who, such as Galaxy 4. And of course, there's Lux in the last series of Doctor Who, in which the Doctor became a cartoon for a time. So there hasn't really been a big Doctor Who cartoon, though, or anything that feels like a strong attempt to turn Doctor Who into a cartoon. The Nelvana thing could have been good, and certainly based on the Warp findings, it probably should have been. The Infinite Quest also was good, but it was always set to be just a finite length. So it'll be interesting to see how this new CBeebies show goes. I'm looking forward to finding out about a bit more about that and how it grows. And the thing with CBeebies as well, they kind of run shows for a long time, the same episodes over and over again. And with there being so many episodes of this, 26 episodes, 26 is half a year, isn't it, if we're on a weekly basis. These things tend to go out daily. So I suspect that, it'll still be running in the 2030s. Okay, let's move on to Christmas viewing with Christian Cawley. Didn't have time for a jingle there. So, it's Christmas, and it is a time for people to get together and eat and celebrate. But also just get together, play games, get together and watch TV. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing a lot of gaming over the next few weeks on Steam Deck and on Xbox. I've just taken receipt of a bit of kit that I'm going to be reviewing for my retro gaming site. That's gamingretro.co.uk. If you're interested in retro gaming and pretty much anything before 2010 is fair game, check that out because I'm really excited about this review. But I will be watching telly. Indeed, as I said earlier on, I've already started. There's a show on Netflix which has just kicked off in the past few days called Man vs. Baby. It is the sequel to Man vs. Bee. It stars Rowan Atkinson. It's co-written by Rowan Atkinson. Strong Doctor Who link, of course, because Rowan Atkinson played the Doctor in Stephen Moffat's Curse of Fatal Death. And when I heard there was a sequel to Man vs. Bee, I thought Man vs. Bee had quite a bit of potential, but didn't quite hit the right notes that it should have done. So I was a little bit disappointed with Man vs. Bee. The setup was good, it kicked off well, but then it kind of petered out for me. Whereas Man vs. Baby is slightly different because there's dialogue. There's a lot of dialogue in this. There's plenty of silent moments, but the dialogue's better. Indeed, there are moments that are very Mr. Bean. In fact, also Atkinson's character Trevor Bingley, due to a dodgy telephone line, gets called Mr. Bin at one point. So it's good. I was really pleased with it. It's got a nice cast as well. Robert Bathurst's in there. You've got Rowan Atkinson, Steve Edge, he's also in there, and Ashley Jensen. And it's just such a good cast. Rosie Cavaliero is in there as well. So if you've got Netflix, this is in 4 parts, running from 24 to 37 minutes. And it starts off, it's Christmas throughout. It starts off in a snowy southwest town, village in the UK, moves to London, still snowing, Christmas trees everywhere. It's, as far as Christmas atmospherics go, it's absolutely tip-top. So I would definitely, if I was offering recommendations, which I guess that's what this is, then I would recommend that you watch Man vs. Baby. Now, another warm show that I like to watch. Actually, there's a few warm shows that I like to watch these days. Kind of gritty, hard-edged thrillers are not really for me these days. I like it warm and cosy when it comes to watching television. All Creatures Great and Small, the revived show, the rebooted All Creatures Great and Small on Channel 5, has a Christmas special this year. But not only that, I'll be watching that, but there's also the 1978 All Creatures Great and Small Christmas special airing on the BBC as well. That's going out on Saturday, the 27th of December. This is a Christmas special from 1990, in which Tristan, Peter Davison, decides to take up bell ringing when he learns it is a favourite pastime of the attractive new schoolmistress. Oh dear. So that's happening as well. Elsewhere, we have the return, for Christmas purposes, of course, of Beyond Paradise, the show that stars Chris Marshall and Sally Bretton, and also Jamie Bamber's in there these days as well. It's a spin-off of Death in Paradise. I actually prefer it to Death in Paradise these days. I do enjoy Chris Marshall. I think I've said this before on the podcast. I think he's absolute, in terms of TV ratings, he's absolutely gold. He hasn't been in a failed TV show on primetime TV yet. As soon as he left My Family, it started dying and barely recovered, even though they kept it going for another 6 or 7 years. It's incredible that they did that. Death in Paradise gained viewers and was actually more successful under Chris Marshall starring than it was with Ben Miller starring. And it didn't really recover after Chris Marshall left, although it still does well, but it's never reached those same peaks. So the fact Beyond Paradise does well for a reason, and that's because Chris Marshall's watchable, and also because you've got great chemistry with Sally Bretton. And it's just a good, nice, cozy, TV show. That has its Christmas special coming up as well. So I would recommend that if I was offering recommendations, which I guess I kind of are. I kind of am. Oh, crikey, grammatical challenges on the podcast with a K. Now, you are a regular listener, so you probably know that I'm quite fond of Midsomer Murders. As far as I know, there isn't an episode of Midsomer Murders going out on ITV this year. They'll probably wheel one out, and there's inevitably going to be several on ITV3, probably a day of them on ITV3. And indeed, if you've got certain streaming services, like you might actually have a Midsomer Murders TV channel. I'm not going to be looking at any of those, but what I am going to be doing is slightly naughty. I'm going to be acquiring through means, he says with air quotes, the latest episode of Midsomer Murders from Acorn TV. I hear you gasp in shock, clutching your pearls, reaching for the smelling salts, but I'm sorry, these things have to be done at times. The Midsomer Murders episodes have aired on ITV recently are 2 years old and went out in the United States over a year ago. So I feel somewhat justified in using air quote measures to air quote view the latest episodes of Midsomer Murders. And let's be fair and frank here, Midsomer Murders isn't as consistent as it has been over the past, say, decade. But one of the episodes that you're waiting for on ITV, which I think is going to be going out in the new year, stars Peter Serafinowicz, guest stars Peter Serafinowicz. It's a very, very strong episode, so I would highly recommend you watch that one. As for new episodes of Midsomer Murders on Acorn TV, obviously in the UK we don't have Acorn TV. If you're over in the United States and you do have an Acorn TV subscription, why not check that out? Now, it's almost a tradition in the UK to have some sort of Morecambe and Wise during Christmas. Now, for some of us, it could be as simple as unrolling a paper bag and throwing an invisible ball into it. For many of us, it is watching Morecambe and Wise. Along with Dad's Army and several other classic sitcoms, you'll find it on BBC Two on Christmas Day. And, I'm pretty delighted about that because I like watching Morecambe and Wise. I still watch YouTube clips of Morecambe and Wise. The rapport that they have is completely unmatched, completely natural. That's the most important thing about it. It was a completely natural rapport that they built over years of working together, either side of the war, and going into the clubs and on the old circuit and the theatres in the 40s and 50s, and then hitting TV, and they still did their stage things as well. We have the Morecambe and Wise show, the Lost episodes, and the Morecambe and Wise Christmas show from 1975 on Christmas Day this year. This is the episode that features Diana Rigg, who's obviously been in Doctor Who. She appeared in The Crimson Horror back in 2013, which was written by Mark Gatiss, and also obviously co-starred her daughter, Rachel Sterling. There's Doctor Who links everywhere this Christmas, if not in wider life. The Morecambe and Wise show, The Lost Tapes, is at 7:30, so it's before the Christmas show. And this shows two rarely seen episodes from 1968, which were thought to be lost until they were found by a preservation expert in Sierra Leone in West Africa. They have been on before, but I would recommend you check them out. Following Morecambe and Wise is Jaws. It's 50 years old this year. It's the same age as me. And that is followed by a documentary, Jaws at 50, The Definitive Inside Story. So if you're a fan of Spielberg, certainly check that out. I think I probably will have a look at that documentary. And then following that at 12:40 a.m, if you're still up, or if you've woken up again after, some booze and some more food, Monty Python's And Now for Something Completely Different is on. This is the one that has the very flat kind of direction in which they transfer TV sketches to celluloid for sitting in the United States and further afield. This came out in 1971. It's 84 minutes long. You've got the Pirate Sketch, you've got the Lumberjack song, you've got I think there's also the Upper Class Twit of the Year in there, and I think there's a version of Blackmail as well is in there, alongside many other things, possibly another version of the Argument sketch. I mean, if you thinking, ooh, well, what else is on? Look, it's up against Love Actually and Notting Hill, so it's going to be Monty Python, isn't it? That's assuming you're not asleep, of course. Now, if you're up and about on the evening of Boxing Day, you can enjoy Elvis Presley Night, a series of movies and documentaries about the King. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't like Elvis Presley. That's fair enough. But he's a very interesting character. And I've seen a couple of these documentaries previously, and they're very good, in-depth documentaries. And, they don't... a lot of the things, when you watch documentaries about music stars and movie stars, of course, Elvis was both, you tend to, if they're still alive, they tend to be pretty much, puff pieces. Elvis has been dead for a long time, of course, nearly 50 years. And he gets portrayed as a human. I think that, you know, he was a big star and everything, but you get it warts and all. You get a three-dimensional portrayal through these documentaries, the talking heads and the sound bites, etc. So you do get more of an idea of who this guy was, more than if it was, say, John Bon Jovi. I'm not for a moment suggesting they're on the same plane creatively or artistically either, but, you know. So that's on Boxing Day. Crikey, get out of that hole, Christian. Now, as I've mentioned already, my birthday's over the next few weeks, so it's only one day. I'm not spending several weeks celebrating being 50. But one thing I'm going to be watching out for next weekend is Double Indemnity, which is on BBC Two on Saturday, the 27th of December, next Saturday morning at 10 a.m. 5 past 10 a.m., in fact. This is a movie by Billy Wilder. It stars Fred McMurray and Barbara Stanwyck, and also features the excellent Edward G. Robinson. And it is a classic film noir with a femme fatale. It is so beautifully directed. It's a superb movie with, it's called Double Indemnity. It's about an insurance scam. So you've got the tension around the scam and you've got the tension between the two leads. I can't give too much away. The director got an Oscar nomination for this, as did the cinematography and the music, the score. Rightly shot. So they should really have won, in my view. In terms of recommendation, if I'm going to recommend anything, we've got the War Between the Land and the Sea tomorrow, so if you've watched the first 4 episodes, you should check that out. But of everything I've talked about today, including Man vs. Baby, and Python, and Morecambe and Wise, and Elvis, this is the thing that I would recommend the most. This is the thing that you should check. If you've never seen this, it's black and white, okay? Don't let that put you off. It's part of the atmosphere for this movie. If you've never seen this movie, you need to see this movie. This is superb. A movie like LA Confidential owes a lot to this movie. So my biggest recommendation this Christmas is Double Indemnity. But of course, if you have the opportunity to spend a lot of time watching classic Doctor Who, you should do that as well. Well, that brings me to the end of this week's Casterburis. It's a single-hander, unfortunately, but it is going out simultaneously on Patreon and Spotify and Apple Podcasts this week, for the simple reason that I've got some things to add into the Patreon, into the Casterburis archive, some of which will be freely available, some of which will be locked into the paid tier. So you will only be able to access these items in the Casterburis archive by joining us in Patreon. You can do that by heading to patreon.com/Casterburis. There you will find the option to join us with a 7-day trial. Joining our Patreon means you get the podcast early most of the time, and with video content most of the time as well. Obviously, that hasn't been possible this week. Additional content is also available. So, for example, last week's podcast was a collection of special extended features that weren't publicly released initially. They were held back for such a time where I needed some extra material to add into the podcast, and they acted admirably there. But the point is, you could have listened to those as a Patreon member. You can listen to those when they go out in the podcast. So joining the Patreon also gives James and myself the opportunity to put more time and effort into the podcasts and make sure our podcasting equipment is tip-top, cover the Zoom costs as well. So if you can support us on Patreon, that is a massive, massive help. If you can't support us on Patreon, then leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. A 5-star review with comments. I'll read the comments out on the podcast. Before I proceed, I want you to, I need to just do a quick bit of fulfillment. First of all, our video versions now have opening and closing titles when they go out on Patreon, and that will also follow when videos go out on other platforms such as YouTube, etc. On those videos, our members' names are mentioned, and one of the conditions, one of the bonuses of joining Casterburis on Patreon is that you get your name mentioned. So, paid members, Jonathan, Aaron West, Nick Caulfield, Kerry, thank you all very much for your ongoing support. Of course, as this list grows, it'll be more difficult for me to mention every supporter on Patreon. We have plenty of free supporters as well. And if you upgrade to paid, I will also give you a mention. So that is the end of this week's Kasterborous. Look out for things added to the Kasterborous archive on Patreon, and we will be back in the new year. So from James and myself, have a Merry Christmas and a superb 2026.